Welcome, gents. True power is quiet. It doesn't need a spotlight to prove it exists. Most Sigma males go through life unaware of how deeply they affect the people around them, not because they're arrogant, but because they're too focused on their own path to stop and notice. They're the kind of men who don't dress to impress, who don't speak just to be heard, and who never play the game of popularity. And yet they leave a mark wherever they go, without even trying. You might not think of yourself as attractive. Maybe you see yourself as private, maybe even distant at times. But that's the very thing that sets you apart. You don't chase attention, and that makes people curious. You don't compete, and that makes you unpredictable. You live life on your own terms, and in a world full of copies, that kind of originality is magnetic. Here's the truth. Attraction isn't always about looks or charm. Sometimes it's about quiet self-respect. It's in the way you observe before speaking. It's in the way you stay calm while others scramble for validation. People feel your presence more than you think, and not because you ask them to, but because something about you feels steady in a world that never slows down. So if you've ever wondered why people stare a little longer or seem nervous around you for no reason, you're about to understand. You're not invisible. You're just a Sigma male, and that's more powerful than you realize. Let's begin, gents. Number 1, women respect him before they even like him. There's something different about a man who doesn't try to win people over. He doesn't need to prove anything, and that alone speaks volumes. A Sigma male walks into people's lives without any effort to impress or charm. He's not rude or arrogant, he's just clear on who he is and what he's not willing to tolerate. And that's exactly why women respect him, often before they even know if they like him. You see, most people are used to being flattered, manipulated, or entertained. They're used to charm that fades, confidence that's forced, and boundaries that are fake. But when a Sigma male enters the picture, he doesn't play those games. He doesn't chase, he doesn't flatter, and he doesn't bend over backwards to be liked. Instead, he moves with quiet clarity. He listens more than he talks, observes more than he reacts, and lets his standards speak for themselves. Women notice this. Even if they can't explain it, they feel it. He gives off the kind of energy that says, "You can be in my life, but only if you bring something real." That's not harsh, that's rare. It's the kind of energy that instantly separates him from the rest. And here's the part he often misses. Women are paying attention. They're not just noticing how he looks. They're watching how he holds space, how he doesn't force a connection, how he draws a line without raising his voice. That respect he earns isn't by accident. It's a quiet power built from knowing his worth and refusing to compromise it. What makes it even more powerful is that he doesn't realize the effect he's having. He's just being himself. And in a world full of men trying too hard to be something they're not, that level of realness feels like gravity. First, it earns respect. Then it sparks attraction. And by the time he notices it, he's already left a deeper impact than he ever intended. Number 2, he's unintentionally mysterious. There's a big difference between being mysterious on purpose and just being mysterious without even realizing it. A Sigma male isn't out here trying to keep people guessing. He's not calculating every move or carefully hiding details about his life. He's just living in his own rhythm, minding his business, doing his thing. And that alone is what draws people in. He doesn't overshare. He doesn't need to explain himself or broadcast every thought. He simply speaks when he has something to say and keeps quiet when he doesn't. In today's world, where everyone is constantly posting, updating, and trying to be understood, that kind of silence feels different. It pulls people in because they start asking what's going on in his head, or why does he seem so sure of himself without saying much? This mystery is not an act, it's not a strategy, it's just who he is. Maybe he doesn't talk about his goals, but his actions speak volumes. Maybe he doesn't jump into gossip or small talk, but when he does speak, it actually means something. That raw and unfiltered presence, no polish, no pretension, makes people crave more of him. They want to peel back layers that he never tried to hide in the first place. Think about it like this. Someone might meet him at a casual get-together. He's polite but not overly chatty. He listens, nods, maybe drops 1 or 2 lines that make people pause and think. That's it. And yet days later, someone is still thinking about him, wondering why they can't shake that feeling that there's something more beneath the surface. That's the power of being unintentionally mysterious. It's not about being unreadable. It's about being real in a world that's always trying too hard. And while he might never see it himself, his quiet depth makes people want to understand him, not because he's hiding, but because he's not performing, and that's incredibly rare. Number 3, he's emotionally stoic, but people want to crack him. The Sigma male doesn't wear his heart on his sleeve. He doesn't explode with emotion or pour out his feelings just because someone asks. To some, he might come off as distant or hard to read. But what most people miss is this. His emotional restraint isn't a lack of feeling, it's a deep sense of control, it's intentional. And oddly enough, that quiet composure draws people in more than he realizes. He's the type who listens without reacting, who stays calm while others unravel. You won't find him over-explaining himself or randomly seeking likes from people. That's not his way. He values privacy and chooses his words carefully. But this creates a quiet mystery that people can't help but want to solve. It's not that he's hiding, it's just that not everyone earns access to his inner world. And that's the hook. People, especially women, feel that wall and want to get past it. Not for gossip or games, but because his emotional stillness feels rare. It feels solid. In a world where oversharing is common and fake vulnerability is everywhere, his silence feels real. It makes people wonder what's underneath, and more importantly, whether they could be the one person he lets in. It's like looking at a locked journal. You know there's something written inside, something that matters. And even though it's closed, that just makes it more intriguing. He doesn't manipulate with mystery, he doesn't pretend. His stoicism is just part of how he navigates life. With control, with purpose, and without putting his heart in everyone's hands. And yet people lean in. They ask deeper questions. They search for that one moment when his guard slips, even just a little. Because that tiny crack, that one glance of emotion from someone who rarely shows it, feels more real than all the noise in the world. He doesn't open up easily, but when he does, it means something. And that's exactly why people stay curious and drawn in. Number 4, he's not competitive, but he still wins. The Sigma male is not interested in proving himself to anyone. He's not trying to beat the next guy, out-talk the loudest voice, or grab the spotlight in the room. Competition isn't in his blood, not because he's weak, but because he knows who he is. He plays a different game entirely, and ironically, that's exactly why he keeps winning. While others are constantly trying to one-up each other, scrambling for recognition and validation, the Sigma male stays grounded. He's not fueled by comparison, he's driven by purpose. That quiet focus on his own path makes him more powerful than someone who needs to be told they're the best. He doesn't need a crowd to tell him he's doing well. His peace is the scoreboard. He walks into situations clear about his values and stays aligned with them, no matter who's watching. He doesn't chase approval. He doesn't shift his energy to match the room. That consistency, that calm strength is rare, and it stands out far more than noise ever could. For example, imagine a group of people trying to impress a boss or win over a crowd. Everyone's talking fast, showing off, laughing loudly. And then there's him, calm, direct, not performing. He says less, but when he speaks, it lands. He doesn't sell himself. He just is who he is. And that quiet confidence steals attention without asking for it. He wins not by competing, but by staying true to what most people forget. Authenticity outlasts performance. Depth outshines drama. Clarity wins over noise. He's not playing to win the crowd. He's playing to stay real. And in a world chasing fake crowds, that's the ultimate victory. Number 5. He thinks his aloofness pushes people away. It pulls them in. The Sigma male often assumes his quiet, independent nature keeps people at a distance. He's not overly expressive, doesn't force conversation, and rarely feels the need to make others comfortable at the cost of his own peace. So naturally, he wonders if this makes him seem cold or unapproachable. What he doesn't realize is that this very trait is exactly what pulls people in. And most people are attracted by that, especially in a world full of overexposure and constant attention-seeking. There's something undeniably magnetic about someone who doesn't need you, someone who's comfortable in his own world. While others are desperate to connect, to overshare, or to gain approval, the Sigma male doesn't lean in, he stays grounded in his own space. That detachment creates curiosity, it makes people lean forward, his silence makes others talk more, his mystery makes others want to know him, not because he's playing games, but because his solitude is real. His aloofness isn't about arrogance, it's not a strategy, it's just who he is. He values connection, but only when it's genuine. He listens more than he speaks. He prefers solitude to surface-level company. And the result is a calm kind of power, the kind that doesn't pull attention but attracts it. People feel the difference. They sense he's not trying to impress anyone. And that emotional self-sufficiency is rare. When someone doesn't need you but still chooses to be around you, it hits differently. It feels pure. It feels earned. So while he might believe that his detachment makes him forgettable or difficult to connect with, the truth is the opposite. That quiet independence makes people crave closeness. Not because he's unavailable, but because he's unreachable in a way that makes others want to be let in. He doesn't realize it yet, but his distance doesn't push people away. It draws them in, slowly, deeply, and with lasting impact. Number 6, he rarely compliments, which makes it mean more. The Sigma male isn't in the habit of throwing compliments around just to fill silence or win favor. He doesn't flatter to get on someone's good side, and he certainly doesn't hand out praise just because it's expected. So when he does give someone a compliment, it hits differently, because people know he actually means it. Most people are used to compliments being casual, even hollow. Nice shirt. You're so smart. I love your energy. These words get tossed around so often that they lose their weight. But when a Sigma male says, "That idea you brought up stuck with me," or "You handled that situation better than most people would," people pause. They remember it because it's not coming from a place of performance. It's coming from honesty. He's someone who observes more than he speaks. He notices things, subtle things, but he won't always say them out loud. That's not because he doesn't care. It's because he only speaks when it adds something real. So when he does voice his appreciation or admiration, it feels earned, not handed out like candy. Imagine working on a project and hearing silence from most people. Then, the Sigma male quietly walks up and says, "You did that well. I respect how you handled it." That one sentence might carry more meaning than a dozen loud compliments because he's not trying to impress. He's acknowledging something genuine. His validation is rare, but powerful. People sense that. They remember it because it's not about stroking egos. It's about recognition from someone who doesn't hand out approval lightly. And in a world full of fake flattery and empty praise, that kind of genuine acknowledgement stands out. He doesn't compliment often, and that's exactly why it matters so much when he does. Number 7, people try to figure him out like a puzzle. The Sigma male isn't one to spill his whole story on the first conversation or explain every move he makes. He lives quietly, keeps his routines to himself, and doesn't overshare. This naturally sparks curiosity. People can't help but try to piece him together like a puzzle, because there's always something just out of reach, something that doesn't quite fit the usual patterns. He isn't mysterious on purpose. He just values his space and chooses where to invest his time and energy. But that low-key lifestyle makes him stand out in a world that's constantly on display. People notice when someone isn't broadcasting every detail. They wonder why he's so calm when chaos swirls around. They want to know what's behind that calm, what fuels his quiet confidence. His schedule might seem elusive. He's not always available, not because he's playing games, but because he's busy on his own terms. He's not tethered to the endless scroll of social validation or meaningless small talk. This absence becomes a magnet. The less they see him, the more people try to fill in the blanks. And his energy, detached but never cold, observant but not intrusive. This creates a tension, a pull that keeps others thinking about him long after he's gone. They replay his words, analyze his actions, and try to decode the silence between conversations. In trying to figure him out, people become obsessed with discovering what makes him tick. That obsession isn't about control. It's about the deep human need to understand someone who doesn't fit the usual molds. Without realizing it, the Sigma male turns his quiet life into an enigma, and that puzzle keeps others coming back, wanting more pieces, hoping to finally see the whole picture. Number 8, he doesn't flirt, he resonates. Unlike most guys who try to get noticed with jokes, pick-up lines, or flashy moves, the Sigma male doesn't play that game. He isn't chasing attention or trying to impress anyone with rehearsed charm. Instead, he simply is. And that presence creates a connection that goes beyond surface-level interaction. His way of flirting isn't about words or gestures designed to get a reaction. It's about how he carries himself. Calm, steady, real. It's in the way he listens fully without interrupting, how he responds thoughtfully instead of trying to be witty. It's in the quiet confidence that doesn't demand applause, but quietly earns it. People who meet him don't feel like they're just being entertained or judged. They feel understood, even if no one is spelling it out. His authenticity hits a deeper note. It resonates with those who are tired of the usual games and empty small talk. It's magnetic because it's honest, unforced, and rare. He doesn't need to flirt because his vibe already says enough. He communicates through presence, not performance. And that kind of resonance creates bonds that last longer and mean more than any catchy line ever could. So while others try to dazzle with noise, the Sigma male quietly pulls people in with something real, something that feels like a rare breath of fresh air in a crowded room. That's why when he connects, it's not just attraction, it's recognition. Number 9, his self-sufficiency is misread as strength because it is when a Sigma male moves through life with calm and quiet confidence. People naturally assume he has everything under control. They see his steady presence and think, this guy's got it all figured out. And honestly, they're not far off. His self-sufficiency isn't just an act, it's the real deal. He's not one to broadcast his struggles or ask for help at every turn. Instead, he handles his business with a level of independence that many admire but few truly understand. This ability to stand alone, make decisions without second-guessing, and carry his own weight is magnetic. It signals strength in a way that goes beyond muscles or bravado. It's a strength rooted in mental and emotional resilience. But here's the thing, he might not even recognize how powerful this makes him. Because self-sufficiency can feel isolating. It can feel like carrying a heavy load alone. Yet to others, it reads as security and control. People are drawn to that. They want to lean on someone who won't crumble when things get tough, someone who stays steady no matter the storm. This kind of independence creates a quiet authority. It doesn't shout or demand respect, it simply earns it, day after day. And that's why the Sigma male's calm and grounded nature isn't just attractive, it's inspiring. So even if he doubts himself or feels like he's just doing what he has to do, others see a rare kind of strength, and that's self-sufficiency. It's exactly what makes him stand out, even if he doesn't realize it yet. Number 10, he underestimates his rarity. The Sigma male walks around thinking he's just another guy who likes to think things through, enjoys his own company, and isn't impressed by meaningless drama. To him, these are normal parts of how he operates, nothing special. But the truth is, most people don't live like that. They don't question everything. They don't treasure silence. They don't see through the noise and nonsense of everyday life with the clarity he takes for granted. His mindset is rare. His way of being, calm but alert, independent but connected on his own terms, stands apart in a crowd that often values loudness over depth. People notice this, even if they don't say it out loud. They admire it quietly, sometimes even wish they could have a fraction of that clarity and self-possession. He's not out there chasing recognition or validation, so he assumes no one sees him for who he really is. But they do. They see the way he stays steady when others panic. They see the way he thinks before he acts. They see the way he refuses to get caught up in the drama. That rarity makes him magnetic, even if he doesn't realize it. Most people are caught up in chasing trends, fitting in, or pretending to be someone they're not. The Sigma male doesn't play that game. That alone sets him apart in a way that's hard to put into words but impossible to ignore. So while he might underestimate his own uniqueness, the reality is he's a rare kind of person. One who quietly commands respect and admiration without ever asking for it. That's the kind of rarity that leaves a mark, even if he's unaware of it. Number 11, he thinks his intensity is too much. But it's magnetic. A Sigma male often walks around thinking he's too much for the world, too intense, too focused, too quiet, too deep. But what he doesn't always see is that the very things he doubts about himself are what pull people in. His intensity isn't a flaw, it's a force. It's something people feel without fully understanding, and it leaves an impression they can't shake. He's not the kind of man who skims the surface. Whether it's a conversation, a project, or a relationship, he goes all in or not at all. He thinks deeply, notices details others overlook, and pays attention to what really matters. This can make him feel different, even isolated. While others bounce from one distraction to the next, he stays rooted in his own thoughts. But here's the twist. People crave that energy more than they realize. His intense focus makes others feel seen in ways they rarely do. His emotional control, often mistaken for being distant, actually creates safety. People trust him because he doesn't react out of impulse or insecurity. He holds space, not with words, but with his presence. And that's something rare. Imagine being around someone who doesn't get thrown off by chaos, who listens without needing to fix, who sees through the noise and speaks only when it matters. That kind of intensity is grounding. It makes people feel like they can breathe, even when they're not sure why. But the Sigma male often second guesses it. He might think, maybe I should be more light-hearted, more easygoing. Yet, what he doesn't see is that his depth is a form of quiet leadership. His intensity doesn't scare people away. It wakes them up. It reminds them of what's real. He may think he's too much, but in truth, he's exactly what this distracted world needs. Someone who feels deeply, thinks clearly, and moves with purpose. That's not too much. That's magnetic. In final words, sometimes the quietest presence speaks the loudest truths. If you're a Sigma male, it's easy to miss just how magnetic you really are. You don't chase attention or follow crowds, so the way people are drawn to you can feel like a mystery, even to you. But here's the truth, your value isn't about being flashy or loud, it's rooted in the way you hold yourself, the space you claim without needing permission, and the calm confidence that flows naturally from knowing who you are. You might think your intensity, your independence, or your emotional control make you hard to approach. But those are the exact reasons people respect you deeply, even if they don't say it outright. Your rarity comes from living authentically in a world full of noise and pretending. And while you may underestimate how much you stand out, others can't help but notice. Remember this. Attraction isn't just about looks or charm, it's about presence, integrity, and being someone who doesn't bend to fit expectations. Your strength is quiet, your power is subtle, and your appeal is real. You don't need to change or perform to be more attractive. The very qualities you think hold you back are what make you unforgettable. So lean into your uniqueness. Trust your pace. Value your solitude. Because the world is catching up to what you already know. Being a Sigma male means you are magnetic in ways most never understand, and that magnetism is your real power. Thank you for watching, gents, and God bless you.